the future of the things that are going on. So let's invite our next speaker, crypto entrepreneur passionate about empowerment, founder of Mysterium Network, Robert Tasvišinskis.
Hello. All right, so my name is Robert, and let's have a little chat about privacy, and is privacy important, and how will privacy be managed in the future, in soon-to-come future, I believe, as previous speaker has touched that subject a little bit. All right, so privacy. How many people here are building apps, organizations, something doing with the apps? Okay, quite a few. This might be interesting for you, as we'll talk a little bit about the trends in app building in soon-to-come future. So, let's start off with asking a question. Who knows that I'm here? Who knows that you're here? Who knows that we together are here? What do these people know else? Who are those people? How many are they? Are these people who work in companies like my mobile device builder, your mobile device builder? Are these people from companies like Facebook and Google? Do they know this information? Are these people from government, your government, my government? How many governments? How many people inside those governments and inside those companies? What's their agenda of those people? And what else do they know? Do they know your name? Do they know your phone number? Do they know your email? Your car, your hotel number, flight number, and so on. And in return, what do you know about them? That's an interesting topic. If we continue on this path, and currently we are going on this path, where the world is divided into two parts. One part is people who have the sort of a superpower to know certain personal information about me, about my personal information field, my likes, my friends, my topics, my discussions, my history, my social network, my family information, and so on. And they can secretly manipulate us into certain actions and into certain doings. For example, if somebody would know all of our political views and how they changed over the course of the time, is it possible that he could kind of nudge me into selecting a better president for the next election? I believe it is so. So currently, as the world is structured and as organizations are structured, we have this division. And we'll touch on that a little bit in the future. And if we continue on that path, we'll have a world which is governed by some and followed by the others unknowingly in very subtle ways. But I want to argue that empowerment is under construction. There's an alternative world being created right now, and there was a talk a couple minutes ago touching on this subject, and let's discuss this a little bit in greater detail. So I've been calling this movement a world of empowerment for the last 10 years, and currently it's being manifested. So let's see 3 steps. I see as 3 steps how we're getting there and what we need to do to get there. First is we need to see through the box as a trap. We need to see the trap actually, and that we're in this box. Second, we need to find a way how to get there. We need to understand and utilize the methods that are available for us into building an alternative world. And thirdly, we need it's interesting to touch and to look into the dance of the protocol and the interface in this future world as a trend. All right, so let's start with the box. In 2015, a journalist asked two hackers to try and hack into his car while he's driving. Since the car is internet connected, and lately mostly all of the cars are, is it possible to do something? So, well, through the distance they did. Through the internet they found his car, they hacked into its systems, they started pouring water on the windshield, they started blowing wind, they turned on the music, and finally they were able to even kill the brakes. It was done in a safe environment of a parking lot. But that just shows us the example of that it is possible with latest technology to hack into our personal field of information, and car becomes part of that field. Car, your mobile device, your phone, your surroundings, where you are, who you talk to, how much time you spend in that place. And if that is possible to hack into that space, it is possible to manipulate that space. And currently, technologies are built for that possibility to exist, because we need a third party, a company, a somebody, a government, to oversee that execution is being run correctly. For example, makers of this car would be able to upload the data and install updates on this car if they see some changes. So that back door is always open. And this opens up a possibility. And Facebook as a company is built on the idea, it's in their DNA, to collect data, to understand you personally, to know your lives, to know your social network, to know everything there is about you, even probably more than most of us imagine that there is, and to sell that data. It's DNA. They operate this way. That's how they're successful. And latest examples of Cambridge Analytica and data being sold, and then candidates are being elected using that data through the black marketing and so on. There was this big scandal, and solution to that is publicly shaming Mark, a billionaire. That's how the Congress of the United States decided we're going to solve this problem, but we're not. Look at the faces of those people behind Mark. They're clueless. They don't know how to solve this problem, because this is not just a political problem, it's a technological one. And let's dive deep. So what is the source of the problem? In the United States, they have net neutrality. Here in Europe, we have GDPR. So there's this ridiculous debate going on is net neutrality a needed thing? Do we need a net neutrality? And there are two opposite poles of this debate. On one side, we have this woman screaming that it's a freedom of speech. And on the other side, we have a chairman of FCC, a person hired by Mr. Trump, and he's saying, no, net neutrality is a mistake. So, you know, I get lightning in my head when I see that. Freedom of speech is a mistake. How come is that? Well, because Ajit, FCC chairman, has to deal with lots of powers. He has to deal with the electors. He has to deal with companies. He has to deal with politics, internal and foreign policy, and so on. So it's not that simple for him. For that lady, it's a lot more simple. So we have this debate going on: is net neutrality a good thing or a bad thing? And that puts us into the box, and we don't see the box itself because we're asking not the right question. On one side, you're placed: is it good? Do you need freedom on the internet? On the other side, you're asked: do you need protection because bad things might happen? So do you need us overlooking through this filter, if I can say so? So let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's put on Sherlock Holmes lens and then figure out and follow the money, as they say. So who benefits from this movement? Well, first of all, it's hardware manufacturers. It's car manufacturers, it's the phone manufacturers, computer manufacturers, soon to be watch manufacturers, and so on. They all collect data. They all try to hack, well, not to hack, they try to understand as much as it is possible about us in order to become successful. If they understand my incentives, my motives, my likes, my social networks, my everything, they can be more successful as companies. Then comes internet providers, various companies who provide services on the internet. They also rely on data about me. They try to accumulate as much data about me as possible, and that's how they become successful, by tailoring their services towards my likes, and sometimes beyond that. Thirdly, of course, is the governments. They are successful when they understand their citizens, and they can have some sense of control. They need to know your income, they need to know your properties, they need to tax you and so on. So if they would know that information, they would not have the tools to become successful. But there's something that unites all of them. It's the fact that they are third parties, third-party entities, for-profit corporations, not-for-profit organizations, government entities. They're all third parties, and they all rely on data about me, about you, to become successful. And we're asking this question. Now, since they have, this thing is not working from time to time, okay. Now, since they have this, this data about us, and that's like the fact of life, they have this power over us, how much of that data are we allowing them to use? Are we just allowing them to filter some content, like to show more relevant ads? Are we allowing them not to show some data for me? Just I'm trying to get to some website, then no, you're not allowed. Or are we allowing them to do all sorts of things with that data, unrestricted, sell to whomever, and so on? So how much of that spectrum are we allowing them to actually access? That's the question that we're asking, and it's with GDPR and it's with network neutrality. It's in essence a very similar question. But I want to argue that we need to ask a different question. Where do we need to put it? Instead, we could be asking, who should have this superpower to control my information field? Should I give it to the third parties, or can I have control of my data field? Can I have control? Can I have a private key and only me has the access and no third party owns the information? I still want to get my rich experience on internet. I still want to get Facebook experience. I still want to get good services all over the world. But is it possible to create an ecosystem where I have the superpower, not some third party? And I want to argue that it is possible, and let's go into the example. So let's take, let's talk about decentralization and open source a little bit. In 2009, Pandora's box was opened with Satoshi releasing their white paper. And this, we're still learning. What does that mean for us as a society, as a community, as company organizers, as governments, and so on? Because that showed us two things. First thing is, Bitcoin could be viewed as an organization. They operate, they provide service, they have a presence, but they don't rely on capturing our private data. Somewhere hidden. There is no database where some big data mechanisms analyze that data. It's public. Whatever data there is, it is public. And I have the key to manipulate that data, and only I have that key. I have the key to send you a Bitcoin, and you have the same power. Nobody else has that power. We don't need a trusted third party to verify the process. So it's open source, and it's decentralized, and it's not relying on capturing data and monetizing on that part, but it still gives us a service. We can still send Bitcoins in a matter of seconds. So we're still learning that. We're still learning, can we apply the same principles to other types of organizations, to other types of companies and maybe government entities? And I believe we are finding that it is possible. That's hence we're talking here. That's where we're sitting in this audience. So what could look like a future built on these principles? You would get a rich future. You would get content-rich future, content created by you, by me, by various organizations, and you will walk into this world with glasses or with your phones, with something, and you can interact with this rich content. The key difference is it's peer-to-peer. There is no third-party entities controlling that information. So how to get there? We need decentralizations. We need open source to be really sure that companies don't do that, and you can trust this is happening. And we need protocols to power certain aspects of that economy, because to build a decentralized ecosystem, one company cannot do that. You need various services. You need data storage, you need computing, you need communication protocols, you need money value transfer protocols like Ethereum, and so on. So let's talk about, okay. So to wrap up, closed source and centralized organizations just don't cut it anymore. Open source and decentralized have a chance to give us this world. So let's talk about protocols and interface and the interaction between these two. In 60s and 70s, foundations of the internet were being built, and back then they were solving very different set of problems. Vint, the guy who helped with TCP/IP protocol, was solving a problem of how to send data reliably through an unreliable network, and that was a hard problem to solve. They obviously managed to solve this problem. We're sending lots of data today, so we have the internet, and they were successful. So they built a very strong foundation, and on this foundation grew the internet as we see today. But they didn't have the problem of peer-to-peer. They didn't have the problem. Back then, internet was peer-to-peer because it was built for universities and governmental agencies, military agencies, to talk, for university to talk to another university. There was no third party. Today, there is. If you want to talk to me, usually there's a monopoly somewhere. There's a Facebook, there's Airbnb, there's this, there's that, and we're talking through them. They are overseeing. We're sending money through the bank. We're sending messages through something. So now we have peer, monopoly, peer. Back then they had peer-to-peer. So they were not solving this problem. They didn't have it. Now we do have it. So how to build a future where we solve this problem? We solve it completely. We give the power back into your hands to control your private data, and a path to that is to build strong protocols which deal with this problem. For example, if you want to have an application that's using and storage and computing power and so on, you can use storage. And storage is an open source decentralized network which ensures that no third party has access to your data, but you can still put data in it. So it's mind-boggling from the current position. Golem, you can use computing power of thousands of computers to simulate a video that you would spend multiple hours, 15 hours to to simulate a video on your laptop. If you're a video editor, you can do that in seconds using volume network because it's being done by thousands of computers. Ethereum, smart contracts, you can use a smart contract to interact with the world, to code some rules, and nobody is gonna be the third party that's overseeing. It's being done by the network where no third party has the access. And so if we would imagine the same case of Facebook, for example, in this environment, right now Facebook has all the data, and they're kind of letting you use that data. In that environment, there would be no company who owns the data. There would just be sort of an open database where this type of data is being stored somewhere on the decentralized storage network, for example, Storage or some other companies. There are a few others building the same principles. There would be an app, an open source app, that would allow you to interact with that data. So you would see this essentially the same data. You would see your Facebook wall, friend stories, and then you could interact with it, comments, and so on. But no one would have the data. You would have the data yourself, and those people who interact with it also. If you don't like Facebook interface, you can use a different one. You can use Notebook interface. You can use Airbook interface, and so on. They would be a little bit different. They would maybe be in red, or maybe would have a nose attached to each comment. But essentially, no one would have the data, but you would still have this rich experience of using each social network. And the role of Mysterium is to create a technology which in essence protects your end-to-end communication, where no third party can hack into it to see what's being communicated and who are the communicating parties. So basically any app developer can integrate that as a protocol for protecting a communication layer. For example, if you need to bypass certain firewalls, from I don't know, Turkey to Europe, certain information just, oh, wow, the government just hacked into our privacy layer and stop this stuff. So yeah, I think I'm nearing the finish. What we need to do to get there, and I want to argue that we're getting there. It's no matter what. You're basically just invited to join this movement, and it's being done right now by thousands of people, as previous speaker has just talked about. There are billions of dollars. There are many smart people working on this. It's not just one company, one protocol. There's a movement here. So here, in essence, you're invited to join. We have three things that will help us build this world of empowerment. We need to see through the box. We need to stop thinking about accumulating data and making a business case. Instead, we need to build a decentralized and open experience and find another ways, and we are finding another ways of building apps which are successful. And if you're into privacy, please talk to us. We always are in the search of people who are passionate about this topic. Thank you.
So do we have questions? Questions for Robertas? Anybody has questions about privacy? Nobody cares about privacy? No.
Yeah?
So yesterday in this audience we had a lot of talk about robotization, AI, and bots. Let's see, getting this layer into apps, would it limit somehow the development of all that AI connectivity, all those digital assistants where you can get a lot of bot action in work and daily lives, because that is very much related with connected, centralized database, augmented data. So how do you see this problem?
I don't see it as the problem, I see it as a different model. Right now, the model is based on I have the data and I have to analyze that data. And the data is locked with my server somewhere, my hidden. But instead, you and we can build technology, we can build the same AI principles. Like Bitcoin, the principle is built, the data is open, and this principle of transferring value still works. Without them owning some private data, they are still able to achieve this goal. In a similar fashion, you could have an app, a system, something that is able to analyze the data, but you as a user have to say, I want to be part of that data, I want to be part of that process. And if I am, I will get a better experience because that process analyzed some parts of the data, but then again, it's not being secretly hidden, that data, and then they try to monetize on it. It's still being fed to me, and I'm just paying for the service, or I don't know who pays for the service. I'm 100% sure we can have the same rich experience